To space explorers, this encounter was more persuasive than any test score. After the ship crew returned, the ship's inner circle had repeatedly investigated the commands during the entire process. In the end, the compiled performance for Milky Way Military College designated Meng Tian as the proxy commander of Ship 12. Even under the Milky Way Military College system, there had been no precedent of a student becoming a proxy commander. Without question, if Meng Tian could complete this mission alive, her life would fly at an unparalleled speed. Planet Maklu. This star was quite overgrown. Besides Fallen Paradise, the rest was basically uninhabitable. It was either mining areas, or military forts. Besides a few ballsy thrill seekers and refugees, no one would leave the city. Fallen Paradise was like an oasis in the desert. It was not only safe, but also incomparably luxurious. On their way, Old Xiao was introducing the things around them to Wang Zheng with great gusto. The entire city's energy source is limitless, even called an infinite energy source. This is something that no other planet can do, and is also one of the boasts of Fallen Paradise. This stemmed from the innate situation on planet Maklu. It could be said that this planet could directly supply energy to human technologies, a bit similar to Tita Star. Just that they were different in make. Old Xiao, where are you bringing me? I hear this place is very exciting. Wang Zheng laughed. Since he was out, he had to use this one day of time well. Hee hee, you little rascal. Relax. I'll definitely open your eyes today. But since you're out, you should know that the three great powers in Fallen Paradise are not to be messed with, Old Xiao said. Wang Zheng shrugged. Oh, you won't be convinced with words alone. I know you have some ability. But both the shady and legal sides of Fallen Paradise are under the rule of these three great powers. Even those passing through must bend to their will, Old Xiao said. Wang Zheng smiled. They're that awesome. What the hell are they? I would like to find out. Old Xiao smacked his lips and said, as for that, I'm a little thirsty. Wang Zheng nodded. I got my salary just now. You find a place. After about 10 minutes, both were chugging large mugs of beer. It was quite authentic, more so than many other places. The fragrance of the hops refreshed their spirits. After being cooped up and driven mad in the dark and stuffy mine without seeing the light of day, coming out for a large mug of beer was like heaven. No wonder this was called a Fallen Paradise. Sometimes, it was the sheer contrast that left one in despair. Old Xiao was clearly enjoying himself. After half a mug of beer, he was in the mood. Let's skip the ancient history. The one ruling Maklu now is the Bill family. If you see someone wearing a curved knife on their chest, that's the one. The Bill family controls the gambling dens and underground fights. They are well connected to the underworld. They're the worst to mess with. Don't say I didn't warn you. Second is the Hong Larong family. Their current head is a woman, fiery and sexy. It's said that if you could sleep with her, death would be a worthy price, Old Xiao said longingly. Seeing Wang Zheng's disbelieving smile, Old Xiao got grumpy. You might not believe me, boy, but that Hong Larong is a woman among women. Have you met her before, Old Xiao? I haven't, and it's said that all those who have are dead. I haven't had enough of life yet. The Hong Larong family controls the majority of Fallen Paradise's lifestyle and entertainment industries. Third is the Julian family. They control the port and also relations with the Milky Way Alliance. Each of the three families controls a third of the mining profits. Old Xiao helped himself to the snacks. Each year, they make astronomical amounts. I'm quite curious. Isn't there a military here? Why doesn't the Alliance take over and run it themselves? Wang Zheng asked. Old Xiao eyed Wang Zheng with a smirk. Firstly, the factors in this place are quite complicated. Who's qualified to run it? Besides, although there's no military here, if the infinite energy source explodes, the whole planet will catch on fire. Pung. Old Xiao made an exaggerated hand gesture. On such an energy-based planet, you can just imagine. Immediate energy collapse, forming a black hole. You know the consequences. Old Xiao need not explain further. Wang Zheng was an expert on this. It would create chaos in the nearby star field for an extremely long time. The Alliance would not want to involve innocents, and to the people here, a good death was better than a miserable existence. Unless they had no choice, No one wanted to kill the golden goose. But what was his own Easter mission about? Unless it was for him to infiltrate these three powers, Elite Academy X thought too highly of him. Perhaps if he had 100 lives. No wonder this place is so comfortable. Old Xiao, do they celebrate Easter Sunday here? Wang Zheng asked casually. Old Xiao smiled slightly. Boy, I'll take it as the beer talking. Here's a suggestion. No matter where you're from, or what you do, living is the most important thing. Right, you enjoy the rest yourself. I'll go catch up with some old friends. Wang Zheng rubbed his nose. Had he been too obvious? This special mission was a failure. He had not gone too far when old Xiao returned. Lend me $100. Wang Zheng took out 200, and old Xiao did not stand on ceremony. Easter Sunday is the Day of the Dead. It's for dead people to celebrate. Old Xiao took his money and walked off, leaving Wang Zheng alone. Wang Zheng rubbed his own face. DMN, his aura was too awesome. It was really a case of gold shining anywhere. But such a psychological victory could only comfort himself for a while. Wang Zheng could not keep drinking here. He could only come out once every half a month. If he swelled over long, he had no idea what would happen to the fighting robots. Perhaps he would really become a miner. Just as Wang Zheng was thinking about going to wreck the underground fighting, a kid walked over and craned his neck. Big brother, can you lend me $100? Wang Zheng was gloomy. Did he look like he was rich? He had only brought a total of $5,000. Subtracting the return transport, he had 4,000 left. He had already spent 1,000 on the beer, and old Xiao had taken 200. He was a poor man. Wang Zheng looked at this kid of about 10, and the boy sized Wang Zheng up cheekily as well. I can give you $100, but what can you do for me? Wang Zheng said. From one look, brother is definitely a generous man. I'm a mafia boss. Anything you want to know, anything you want to get, I can do it, the kid said self-possessedly. Wang Zheng gave the kid $100. Bring me to the best underground ring. The kid smiled with dimples. Very cute. You gave me $100, so you're my big brother now. No problem. Wait a while, I need to go to the toilet. Wang Zheng waved him off. The kid vanished in the crowd, and suddenly Wang Zheng realized a serious problem. At the back door, the kid stuffed the $100 in his pocket. Although he was a little filthy, his eyes were bright. What a dumb guy. Sigh, I'm so charitable, to only take 100. My little friend, are you forcing me to rob you? Wang Zheng said with a smile. The kids here were astray, to immediately take him for passerby. The little brat panicked for a moment, but he very quickly recovered with an innocent smile. Big brother, I can tell you're a nice person. I'm doing it for your sake. That sort of place is dangerous, there are hooligans and mafia. Wang Zheng lifted up the little brat. He had no intention to quibble with the kid. Perhaps just shake him up a little. But when he looked at the kid up close, Wang Zheng realized an issue. For this guy to be cheating someone of $100 meant that his family had to be in dire straits. But although this guy was dirty, he was clean below the neck, and his eyes shone with the light of nobility. After all, Wang Zheng had seen many of his like at Elite Academy X. Although this kid was in a bad place, his past must have been good. Kiki, little man, what's your name? Wang Zheng decided to talk it out with this boy. The kid said wretchedly, everyone calls me Piglet. I'll return the $100 to you. Don't hit me, okay? Are there pigs as skinny as this? Wang Zheng patted the kid's head. He was full of his own doubts as well. What was he doing with this kid? Sigh, here's another 200. Brother's a poor man as well. Take care now. Wang Zheng smiled. He felt that he looked super cool at the moment he turned away. DMN, he just couldn't quell his heroic heart. He heard a yelp from behind him. Wang Zheng knew in his heart that it was because he had been too cool. Closely following, a laser streaked past his head. From the other end of the street, a few people with laser guns were sweeping this way. Wang Zheng scooped up the little kid and scrambled away. FCK, what the hell was going on? Even pros were afraid of boards and bricks, let alone laser guns. The window. At this moment, the kid was still calm. Of course, Wang Zheng had no intention of leaving through the door. He directly launched through the window, closely followed by the kid. This kid was still pretty calm. He must have been in many similar situations. He ordered Wang Zheng here and there, and they were soon free of the pursuit. Wang Zheng wondered what sins he had committed. He had spent $300 and almost lost his life as well. After recovering their breath, he eyed the little guy. Kid, you look like you're from fine stock. Smooth skin and good body. Say, do you owe the mafia, or are you a runaway slave? Although Wang Zheng put on a fierce countenance, the kid's reaction was pretty composed. He lightly moved Wang Zheng's foot aside, looking at him with puppy eyes. And Wang Zheng's heart melted. He knew that this was his own weakness. In such a ghastly place, he had a mission he could not talk about. This kid was of unknown background. Someone was chasing them, and it was an organized someone, from the looks of things. It was not looking good. Wang Zheng had a good eye. Those chasing him were wearing blue curved sword symbols. Chances were, it was the Bill family that old Xiao had mentioned. Who were the meanest of the mafia here? But, this was like an access point. Big brother, they're the bad guys. Wang Zheng laughed. I'm no good guy either. Forget it. Take it as my good deed today. We can part now. Wang Zheng said, straightening his clothes and preparing to leave. But this kid was following behind. Wang Zheng sweated. DMN, he was good at attracting followers. What are you doing following me? Wang Zheng hollered on purpose. A pity that Wang Zheng was no actor. This boy was agile and unafraid. The moment Wang Zheng stopped, he clutched his clothes. And Wang Zheng really could not bear to shrug a kid off. DMN, it was said that undercover work needed cruelty. It was not a good fit for Wang Zheng. Kid, don't follow me, really. I'm a miner. Holiday today. I have to go back to continue mining real soon. I can't even feed myself, let alone you. And I can't afford to offend those guys. Wang Zheng counseled him. But the kid was holding on even more tightly. Wang Zheng sighed deeply. He must have done something wrong in his past life. Just like that, Wang Zheng returned early, and now with a little tail. Zuckerberg did not care. As long as Sunday Zhao's work was unaffected, he would turn a blind eye. Besides, a soft-hearted person was easy to control. Those in Fallen Paradise were used to the rules of the place, but it did not mean that everyone was evil. Many times, people were just trying to survive. Of course, Zuckerberg did not let Wang Zheng off easy. He simply warned him that if Wang Zheng's work suffered, the kid would immediately go. In Fallen Paradise, there were too many vagrants. Other aspects could be managed, but not this one. They would live or die on their own. These kids either never grew up, or entered the gangs. It was nothing new, and people's hearts slowly hardened. Wang Zheng had come back, but old Xiao had not. It looked like he was tangled up with his old buddies. Right, this is where I stay. You can see that it's not much better than the streets. Wang Zheng tossed a ragged blanket to the kid. On the way back, the little guy had been quiet. He docilely received the blanket and found a corner. Before long, he was asleep. Wang Zheng shook his head with a bitter smile. He could tell whether the kid was feigning sleep. He had gone a little overboard, to quibble with the kid. He put the kid on the bed. He was just not cut out to be a bad guy. Well, this trip had not been completely meaningless. Fallen Paradise had been volatile recently, and this possibly stemmed from the contention between the three great powers. The three great powers had been very balanced. The Julian family dealt with the outside, the Bill family maintained order, and the Hong Larong family was in charge of the city's business. But as the Bill family's power continued to grow, they were clearly not content being equal partners. Especially the current family head, who was full of ambition. After tolerating things for more than a decade, he was finally starting to flex, creating instability in Fallen Paradise. From the perspective of the Milky Way Alliance Council, water that was too clear supported no fish. Whether in ancient times or today, or in the future, this would not change. Especially since mining stability was something the Alliance needed. This place was a cauldron that stood on its three legs stably, and in its stability was unquestionably in the interests of the Alliance. If the place was ruled by the Bill family's curved knives, then things were in question. Just looking at those louts, one knew how things would go. The hot-blooded Bill family must definitely challenge the Alliance once they dominated. This was something the Alliance was unwilling to see. Crucially, the Alliance Council had to maintain regional security. Whether the Bill family ventured out to other planets was one thing, but to the Alliance Council, this could not be allowed to happen. Suddenly, Wang Zheng was shocked. What he could think of, others could as well. Nobody was a fool, which meant that there must have been undercover agents before him. Even now, this city had to be crawling with agents for various factors. And some might already have been eliminated. What a headache. DMN, this life was not easy to live. Sometimes tackling it head-on was, in fact, the easiest course of action. Wang Zheng was very good at dealing with those changes, even confident that he could find an opportunity to turn the tide. Back then, Hail Cloud Alliance had met with pirate attacks, and that was not as serious as this. Currently, the situation was not something that force alone could resolve. And seeing the gadget on his hand, he really wanted to think of a way to be rid of it. Otherwise, he would die without even knowing it. On the bed, the little guy slept very peacefully. This dirty and dark hole was actually the most peaceful place around. Wang Zheng smiled and walked out. He took 2 bottles of beer and went to find Zuckerberg. Perhaps he was just a section head, but in this place, he could secure him many conveniences. And what Wang Zheng wanted to know was if this mine belonged to the Bill family's purview. The little miner Wang Zheng propped 2 bottles of beer and went to send his greetings. He delivered the drinks, but didn't get much back. It was like hitting a dog with a meat bun, all loss. This Zuckerberg was a petty creature. You could see that he had the eye, which was why he would be assigned here. Wang Zheng felt that the moment he spoke of something sensitive, he would just change the topic. Wang Zheng also did not want to press. The other had given him some face. Saying more would be ruining their relationship. He was afraid that Zuckerberg was surmising that he was a problematic one as well. Besides those who he did not care about, like old Xiao and Zuckerberg, even the little lackey was privy to his situation. It was just that many of them were not confidants. He really needed to consider his situation. On the way back, Wang Zheng was really considering his own, holier-than-thou, aura. It was not completely his fault. He had just finished the Greatest King competition at Elite Academy X. Wang Zheng could hide his aura, but not his style. He just did not seem like an unyielding guy. And those ace undercover agents not only needed to be capable, their disguises also needed to be up to par. They were professional and masterful in many areas. At least it did not look like he was an undercover agent in any way. But the drink with Zuckerberg had not been in vain. At least he now knew the current situation. The 3 great powers were competing vigorously. Mainly, it seemed like the Bill family and the Julian family were already moving, and had gone public about it. While the Hong Larong was content to watch them duke it out. If the Bill family finished off the Julian family, Hong Larong would be next on the list. But it seemed like Hong Larong was in no hurry. Either they were biding their time, or they had some sort of agreement. Besides, the current situation was precarious. It might become an uproar at any time. And as for what exactly his own Easter plan was, he had no clue. He seemed to be making no progress. And on the flip side, the school had no reason to make things harder for him. Most of the time, all that came from the Alliance Council was just a name. Were they treating dead horses like live ones? This mission was really something. No wonder Professor Zhang Feng had been so serious. And he had been a little overconfident as well. But this was not bad. At least it was an experience. And at least charcoal had been lured out, to settle one of his life problems. Profit. Back in his room, he realized that the little guy was awake. A pair of gleaming, black eyes looked back at him. At this moment, he realized that this guy's eyes were quite bright. Eyes were the windows to the soul, and also a response to one's spiritual strength. Why not sleep a bit more? Wang Zheng smiled slightly. He also knew that this young one might be troubled. But in terms of expecting anything from the kid, that would be asking too much. Children were children. The youngster's eyes were a little red, but he quickly recovered, and he had an arrogant smirk. You think that 2 bottles of drink can get you the information you want? Naivety is not a crime, but one as naive as you surviving in such a job is pretty much a wonder. Wang Zheng was surprised. Something was up with today. Ever since arriving at Fallen Paradise, he had been disdained from all sides. Even this urchin. He was really not cut out to be an undercover. I'm just a minor, Wang Zheng said without much feeling. Is that right? You don't have the bearing of a minor at all. In word and deed, you've had the highest education. You move well, have good reflexes, even dodging the laser. Foo-foo, if my guess is right, you must have been betrayed and sent here. Pitiful, the little guy said confidently. Wang Zheng shook his head with exasperation. This little guy was conceited. He ate and lived on his dime, yet was still arrogant. Wang Zheng did not hold back. He grabbed the kid and began spanking him. He let him yelp until his voice ran out. Wang Zheng stared at him. This little guy was gritting his teeth and staring at him angrily. Little squirt, don't come and play all grown up with me. Out with it. Who are you and what's your purpose in getting close to me? Piglet stared daggers at Wang Zheng with an uncowed manner. Who's interested in a poor miner like you? If you don't say, I'll spank you till your bottom swells. Saying this, he raised a hand again. Against such a rebellious one, logic did not work. Perhaps violence would be a bit more effective. You only know how to bully kids. Wang Zheng was incensed now. At least you know you're a kid. Say your name then. Piglet. Pig. I asked for your real name. Don't give me all that. What's your dad called? What's your mom called? What do your parents do? Why are you acting pitiful and trying to ingratiate yourself with me? And why are people after you? Are you really not going to give me an explanation? Wang Zheng demanded. He had not pressed for answers, but that did not mean the questions were not asked. Instantly, the little urchin's eyes were wet again. Wang Zheng felt troubled. He had heard that children were troublesome, and he did not know what had possessed him to bring the kid back. Well, he had taken him under his wing now. All right, I won't ask any more. You tell me what you can. It's about time now. Wang Zheng never knew what to do with girls and little kids. The urchin took a while to soften up. Just call me Piglet. Actually, I want to know what you do. Maybe I can help you, more so than you think. What do you think it is that I do? Pung. Undercover. The Council Alliance is undercover. I dare to bet that no one cares about you here on the lower levels, but if you dare to show your face, especially at the competition grounds, you'll die without a trace. Ping. Wang Zheng rapped Piglet's skull. You little scum, how dare you curse your savior? Piglet rubbed his head indignantly. Don't knock my head, I'll become stupid. Then I'll beat your ass. Childish. How could there be such an immature undercover agent who only knows how to bully kids? Who says agents can't be immature? Who said undercover agents can't bully kids? Wang Zheng laughed. For some reason, teasing this guy was pretty fun. But he had also realized that his own situation was not too favorable. It was going to be difficult. Pung. Fallen Paradise is in turmoil now. It might break out with trouble at any time. Do you want to succeed? Let's team up. Piglet was suddenly full of confidence. Ping. Little squirt, why are you acting all big-headed for? Wang Zheng had to think of something. People had to find paths suited to themselves. Firstly, he had to get rid of this bracelet. He might have to pick the chestnuts out of the fire. Compared to acting, straight methods were his forte. A city fight. In such a big area, he would be hard to deal with, no matter who the opponent was. And he did not believe that the Milky Way Alliance was counting on a newbie undercover agent like himself. Just at this moment, the boy raised his head and said the words, Easter Sunday. Wang Zheng felt as though his heart was burning. To get results effortlessly after having exhausted all efforts, this little brat actually knew about Easter. Hee hee, little kid. Wang Zheng adjusted his expression and felt that it was necessary to suck up to this little guy. Ahem, little brother, what is this Easter? Piglet gazed at the ceiling, and said in a very handsome manner, I am thirsty. No problem, I will pour something for you. Wang Zheng immediately poured a glass of water eagerly for Piglet. Wang Zheng was racking his brains, trying to find a way to break through, but he did not have a clue. He did not expect this little guy to actually know how to do it. Piglet was very thirsty. He really drank a big cup of water. Then he looked at Wang Zheng in an imposing manner. You whacked my butt and knocked my head just now. Ahem, Beating demonstrates closeness, scolding is love. This shows that we have a good relationship. After all, he was 21 years old. If classmate Wang could not even win in a bicker with a little kid, he should just find a piece of tofu and knock himself dead. TCH, who wants to be close to you? You have no shame. Alright, if you want to know, you must tell me who you are first, Piglet said like a boss. Wang Zheng smiled. Sunday Jiao. Pay. Who asked you this? I knew that you were a fraud. You were sold here by other people, right? They must have seen that you were honest, so they bullied you. Piglet suddenly said indignantly. Wang Zheng touched his nose. Did he look like he was easy to bully? My name is Wang Zheng. The primordial regression technique could greatly enhance Wang Zheng's spirituality. There had to be something fishy going on with this little guy, but intrinsically, Wang Zheng could feel the spiritual fit. This was a feeling. Wang Zheng, it's very common. You are really stupid. You just answer when people ask. You are really not suited to be a special agent. Wang Zheng was speechless. Either way, it was his fault. He felt the urge to hit this little guy again. Suddenly, Piglet stood up. What did you say? You are Wang Zheng. Which Wang Zheng? Wang with the 3 lines, Zheng from Taiji Yu Zheng. Why, are you familiar with me? Wang Zheng felt that his name was very common. He would not stand out in a crowd. But Piglet became excited. Are you from Earth? Wang Zheng nodded, and Piglet became even more excited. His eyes were shining. It was as if he had been hungry for 3 days and spotted a piece of sweet cake. Are you a mech warrior from Elite Academy X? This time, it was Wang Zheng's turn to be shocked. How did you know, are you? Wang Zheng thought he had met a fellow agent. The Milky Way alliance was too vicious. It was okay if it was just him, but how could they use child labor? This was too dangerous. Wow, you are the leader of the legendary Saruman snake, the Devil King Wang Zheng. Piglet jumped up directly. Wang Zheng was stunned for a while. I don't know about the Devil King, but I'm really the leader of Saruman snake. How did you know? Wang Zheng was also surprised. When had he become so famous? He was in a difficult situation now, and even he could not recognize himself in the mirror. This was going to spoil his plan. Being famous was a good thing, but being famous as a special agent was like a snowball rolling onto burning charcoal. This was seeking death. Leader Wang Zheng, I am your idol. Oh, no, you are my idol. I like you so much. As Piglet was speaking, he was about to throw himself at Wang Zheng. Wang Zheng grasped onto the collar of the little brat and put him down. Calm down, calm down. We are in the same situation now. It is fate that we met. There is no point in dwelling on whether we knew each other previously. Sit properly, don't talk rubbish. There were stars in Piglet's eyes. It was indeed the strongest king. He had such good literary talent. Master of both the pen and the sword. This time, Piglet sat down obediently. Even his face was flushed with glory. He kept muttering, this was too awesome, this was too awesome. How do you know me? Does it mean that I am really famous? Wang Zheng had to confirm this matter. It might be very exciting for Piglet, but it was fatal to him. This was really depressing. Was the greatest king competition not only seen by military academies? How could it have spread to such a place? Piglet desperately nodded his head. Wang Zheng looked up into the sky and sighed. What the heck, this was cheating students. No wonder the Elite Academy X was very low-key in the past. Why was it so high-profile this time? It was okay to be high-profile, but he was asked to go on a mission. Even if he did not undergo cosmetic surgery, they should have at least taught him some camouflage skills. Was it possible that an Earth-rank warrior would be a match for 10,000 enemies? He would be killed with one gunshot. No, the greatest king competition was only for those special military academies. It should be strictly managed and could not be circulated. Although absolute non-circulation could not be accomplished, it would at least not spread so far, especially when only professionals would be interested in it. How could it be so widespread that people from Fallen Paradise had watched it? This was impossible, and people who liked underground fights liked bloody battles. They would not be interested in this kind of competition-style fight. Piglet probably had some kind of background, so there were channels for him to watch this kind of competition, because only little kids like him would be interested in things like colleges. Piglet, I was very honest with you. Can you tell me who you are? How could you? To watch such a match, even the live broadcast, it showed that this little guy's situation was definitely good, and it was completely different now. Just as Wang Jung finished speaking, Piglet's eyes filled with tears, and the next second, he burst out crying. His tears were like a river flowing after the dam broke. Wang Jung knew how to do everything, but he was not very good at comforting people, especially children, and he was not an ordinary kid. He really could not just comfort him with some toy. But after crying for a while, the little guy calmed down on his own. His teary eyes stared wide open at Wang Jung. Wang Jung shuddered. This little brat was too smart and cunning. It was worship just now, and this time, he was plotting against him. Big brother, I don't want to lie to you, but there are some things I can't tell you now. I can help you with your business. We can form a special agent team. Piglet said excitedly. He was really temperamental. Wang Jung laughed. Then you have to tell me what is Easter first. Even if you want to form a team, you must be sincere. Easter is just Easter. So stupid, it's just a reason to have fun together, Piglet said in an eager voice. Classmate Piglet, don't you forget that we are a team. Wang Jung said very seriously. Piglet clapped his hands quickly. Yeah, I almost forgot the most important thing. Let's get a nickname. It should be outstanding. The Snake King Special Agent Team. Not good, not good. Brothers Team. Sounds a little unsophisticated. Wang Jung covered his face with his hands. He was a fool. He had actually pinned his hopes on this little brat. We from Fallen Paradise don't celebrate Easter. This is a ghost festival, but people from the underworld like it very much, and some organizations like to do something with this festival as the code name. This time, the target is Fallen Paradise. Piglet suddenly became very serious again. Wang Jung frowned slightly. I also often hear about the underworld. Does it refer to the mafia? It seems like it has a lot of power. Piglet laughed. Actually, I don't really understand it either. I just heard that the underworld does exist. It is not some lowly mafia. It is an order created by terrorist forces with influence all over the Milky Way Alliance. The day belongs to the Milky Way Alliance and the night belongs to the underworld. I am afraid that other than a limited number of countries, such as Aslan, all the other countries in the current Milky Way Alliance are inextricably linked with this power. As for us, Maklu, it is definitely impossible to get rid of these links. However, the people from the Bill family are responsible for the dealings, and they are not satisfied with the current division of resources. They want to enjoy it all by themselves. Wang Jung kept quiet and slowly processed all these things. So Easter should only be a point in time. The mission itself was still based on the accident in Fallen Paradise. Fallen Paradise was balanced between the three families. If the Bill family had more contacts with the underworld, then the Julian family should be closer to the Milky Way Alliance. With the addition of Hong Larong's middleman effect, Fallen Paradise managed to maintain the current peace. But now the balance was broken. This was definitely not what the Milky Way Alliance wanted to see. However, this kind of thing could not be solved by sending an army in. Piglet, what connections do you have with the Julian family? Wang Jung would be a pig if he could not see it. Piglet suddenly became depressed, but he said, as if to encourage himself, I am the only one alive in the Julian family. Wang Jung was stunned for a moment. How did it end up like this? It seems as though there were no big commotions in the city. The time was not right, hence only Grandpa Mobo is hanging on in the family, Piglet said sadly. It was probably because they had already started chatting, hence Piglet had nothing to hide anymore. The three powers were almost the same, and the best thing about having three pillars of power was balance. The three parties also maintained their distance from the Milky Way Alliance and the underworld. Until recently, this balance was broken. The Bill family had taken the lead in attacking. It was obviously a powerful person from the underworld. In just one night, all the immediate members of the Julian family, except for Piglet, were assassinated. This assassination skill was simply shocking. Piglet was just right outside. When he came back, everything had already changed drastically. Fortunately, this little guy was clever and did not go back. Otherwise, he would also be dead. Do you think that Grandpa Mobo is dependable? Wang Jung asked suddenly. In the past, he was dependable, but now I'm not sure. Piglet was a little sad. He also could not judge whether he was dependable or not. But indeed, it was he who told me about the situation and said that I had to think of ways myself to live on. Now I can't go back and he is also unable to send people to protect me. Wang Jung frowned. Then those killers chasing after you. The Bill family is now looking for me everywhere. The people from the bottom ranks are even more fearless. If I'm just a homeless child, they will just kill me for the reward. Piglet was a little sad. Wang Jung pursed his lips. While he did not want to be a hero, no one would be able to resist caring about this matter. Piglet, we have to tidy our thoughts. Let's say your Grandpa Mobo is questionable. If true, then you would most likely be a corpse already. It is more likely that he does not have the power to protect you now. We should find a way to contact him first before thinking about the next step, Wang Jung said. Piglet nodded. Wang Jung thought for a while. I need a skylink that can contact the outside world. Also, we have to get this thing down. They had tidied their thoughts and were not afraid of hard work, they were only afraid of not knowing how to start. No matter whether the people were from Milky Way Alliance or the underworld, they should be doing things secretly. People from the underworld had arrived, so there should not be a lack of people from the Milky Way Alliance either. Logically speaking, the Julian family had long been incapable of blocking the big disaster that fell on them. While there were political undercurrents now, the situation was still stable. It had to be because people from the Milky Way Alliance had gotten involved in this. Thinking about that, it made sense. The Milky Way Alliance was sure to have a specific person in charge for such a case, and the Elite Academy had sent him here this time, that should be a variable factor. They did not expect him to complete the mission but rather hoped that he could cause some effect. Except the unexpected thing was that the core person involved in this matter was beside him. Why did you look for me in the first place? Is it just a coincidence or? Wang Jung asked curiously. Piglet laughed. That's a secret. Wang Jung felt a little faint. A kid was a kid, why did he like to do these useless things? But he also did not need to know more. The most important thing at the moment was to prepare for a good battle. It was, of course, better if they could take action for this matter soon, but they could not be careless. They still needed Piglet to contact his butler first. If not, any actions would likely still be useless. That Grandpa Mobo was still thinking of Piglet's safety. However, once the Julian family fell, there was no way to discuss a way to protect Piglet. This was simple logic. Besides, he also did not think that Mobo had the ability to block the assassins. Most likely, if not for the fact that the Bill family had some considerations, or that the time was not ripe yet, they would have directly erased the powers of the Julian family long ago. Granny's leg. These people from the Milky Way Alliance had to buck up and be of some help. Originally, Wang Jung wanted to accompany Piglet. After all, this was just a cover, but Piglet wanted to go on his own. It looked like his personal experiences during this period of time resulted in his growth. The most important thing was that this kid was smart enough and he was not the average child. Besides, he was also an Ability X user. Piglet ran away with a gust. Zuckerberg would definitely be too lazy to care. It was fine as long as Wang Jung was not running away. Outside of Maklu, it was not as calm at the Milky Way Alliance. Actually, the Milky Way Alliance Council was very worried about the situation at Maklu. Of course, the key point that caused the senator much worry was not on Maklu itself but the powers behind the problem of Maklu. The powers of the underworld had grown too quickly. The Milky Way Alliance was having a headache. Unfortunately, being in the Milky Way Alliance did not mean that they could commandeer the whole universe. Powers were limited and there were boundaries. This was also the root cause of the speedy development of the dark powers. It rose especially quickly in the recent 5 to 6 years. In the past, these powers still followed the rules. However, in recent years, they were carrying out activities around the Milky Way Alliance more frequently. Special agents of the Milky Way Alliance were also moving around. Other than the troubles caused by some small powers, the most important thing was the awakening of a huge power in the underworld. It was as though they had seen the head of the demonic dragon but not seen its tail. Many excellent special agents had already been sacrificed in the process. The importance of Maklu was not in its minds. To the huge Milky Way alliance, this type of thing was just a profit, and profits were not the main point under many circumstances. The reason Maklu could not be out of their control was because this planet was like a huge energy source bomb. It could provide energy, but if it were controlled by the wrong powers, then it could become a bomb. The purpose of the existence of the Milky Way alliance was peace. The destruction of a star meant nothing, but as the senator of the Milky Way alliance, he was worried that this matter would just be the spark. It would lead to a series of chain reactions in the Milky Way alliance. The unsteady dark powers, the rampage of the pirates, and even the ambitions of big empires like Arbiter and Aslan. Hence, they had to think of all ways to suppress the unrest. This was definitely a test by the other party. If the Milky Way alliance had no reaction at all this time, then these powers would cause trouble everywhere in similar spaces, as well as to increase their control. This was the first battle. The Milky Way alliance definitely could not withdraw. The Julian family was more closely related to the Milky Way alliance. The reason they were not totally annihilated was because of the protection of the Milky Way alliance's special agent. But the problem was that the dark powers seemed to have been planning this for a long time, and were well prepared. Their sudden move caught the Milky Way alliance unprepared. And now, when they wanted to provide emergency assistance, they were delayed by the Bill family. Any powerful individual would be useless wearing that bracelet. Once exposed, there would only be death. The sacrifices made during this period were very heavy. In a peaceful era, to need such a sacrifice was too much. This had also caused the Milky Way alliance a headache. If they could not resolve this issue, the head of the council could retire already. Elite Academy X. To be honest, the Milky Way alliance had invested quite a lot in Elite Academy X, regardless of whether it was the passing of knowledge or development. But all along, the participation of Elite Academy X in such matters was minimized. This time, they were also just resorting to desperate measures in desperate times. But honestly, he did not think that these few students were capable of doing anything shocking. He still needed the council to come out with some ideas. A certain Wang Zheng was sent there. He really did not know what to say about this rascal's luck. However, this name just flashed past in the senator's mind. There were too many things that he needed to settle, and Maklu was just one of the many issues on his plate. Wang Zheng. Classmate Wang was still mining now, except he was no longer focused solely on it. Whenever no one was around while he was mining, charcoal would come out. He would look at the lone and busy Wang Zheng. The robot had already changed. He had changed drastically from before, but that feeling of closeness still existed. A sense of nostalgia remained in his heart. Charcoal did not know what kind of existence he was. Was he a memory or what? But he knew his responsibility. He did not know whether his previous master had died or survived facing the laws of the universe. Perhaps only by helping the current little master could he learn the final result. He had waited for a long time for an heir, but by the time it finally happened, there was a deviation. Due to the Rubik's Cube, the trend of things became unpredictable, or in other words, uncontrollable. This was not to say that Wang Zheng had lost control, but that the fate of the entire human race had lost control. This was a type of luck, but it would not be useful to talk about this kind of mysterious thing. Wang Zheng was a bit like the previous master, but he was also different. He felt that Wang Zheng's goals were clearer, his sense of responsibility was also stronger, while his previous master was happier. At this moment, Wang Zheng was working enthusiastically. However, his attention was not on mining. That rascal Piglet had already been gone for 2 days and there were no traces of him coming back. He was a bit worried. Previously, that rascal insisted on doing it alone. The situation was very dangerous now. If he was caught, then it would be problematic. But now he really could not act rashly. Piglet said that the thing on his wrist was very dangerous. Once it was activated, it would kill him in an instant. If he wanted to take action, he must first remove this bracelet. However, only the security team of Fallen Paradise could remove this thing, and that was now under the control of the Bill family. This was also the place where the Milky Way Alliance refrained from attacking for fear of harming innocents. Some powerful people did not even have the chance to fight, and they died directly on the streets. They had completed many difficult tasks and had such glory, but here, they would die unknown deaths. And in such sensitive times, this gray area of Fallen Paradise would be without rules. The most important thing was that there were countless people from the underworld hiding there. This guy Charcoal came out quite frequently recently, but he was of no use. It was more of him thinking alone, but Wang Jung felt at ease. According to Charcoal, Ability X had to match up with cultivation techniques in order for the body could withstand it. Otherwise, it would be like the self-harming Seven Fists. Wang Jung's current Ability X burst out a little bit too fast, but his cultivation techniques could not keep up. The best state would be that the realm of cultivation techniques was higher than that of the Ability X, which meant that the realm of mental power was the highest. If it was the opposite, the damage on the body would be too large. To put it more seriously, his life force would be drained. This was why the so-called geniuses who were superior in only Ability X had almost all disappeared only after a few decades. Of course, other than cultivation techniques, there were many other methods to strengthen the body. After all, the biotechnology now was also very developed. While Wang Jung knew he was not that stupid, after the primordial regression technique entered the second stage, it was as stable as a stream. It was very difficult to create any huge waves. It was much harder to understand than Ability X. Mental power was more susceptible to stimulation and outbursts during crucial events. On the other hand, there were no shortcuts for cultivation techniques. It was really necessary to improve it steadily and slowly. Wang Jung would at most incorporate the workings of the primordial regression technique into his breathing. Actually, the nature of cultivation techniques was also their breathing methods. He incorporated it daily, executing a full cycle a day. It could be said that breathing was cultivating qi, and cultivating a full cycle of the technique would allow him to gather qi. Sometimes, Wang Jung would think that if Charcoal gave him some suggestions to inspire him, wouldn't that save a lot of trouble? But looking at Charcoal's blank looks, he felt that it was better not to get infected by his foolishness too. The mine shaft was always filled with loud noises, but to Wang Jung and Charcoal, there was a way for them to isolate themselves from this noise. At this moment, footsteps sounded and Charcoal's silhouette disappeared into the dim mine shaft. It was Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg was quite depressed. With great difficulty, he managed to recruit a hard-to-come-by, efficient, and hard-working miner. Now the miner had been bought by someone else. But he could not do anything. After all, he was just a miner head. There was nothing to bring along. After exiting the mines, it did not take long for Wang Jung to see Piglet. He was still dressed like before. You could see that he was very cautious. This little guy was also smart and cunning. What do we do next? Wang Jung asked. Actually, what he wanted to know was the intentions of the Julian family. Since this little guy had come back safely, it meant that the Julian family had not completely collapsed. Brother Wang Jung. Of course, I cannot tell you the next step here. Follow me. Then the two took the city express like before. Perhaps this was the most unobtrusive and safest way. This little guy seemed very excited and had a hint of hope. Piglet, what is the situation of the Julian family like? Did you contact anyone from the Milky Way Alliance? Brother Wang Jung, shouldn't we confirm the name of our team, then talk about the specifics? Piglet was still very concerned about the name of this team. This was the key to becoming famous and popular in the future. You can name our team, Wang Jung said. He really could not keep up with little kids' thinking. Let's call us the Judgment Angels. We are the Judgment Angels duo and we will judge those bastards. Piglet said while clenching his fist. Clearly, there was sadness and anger deep in his eyes. Wang Jung smiled slightly. This little guy was not simple. He saw Wang Jung as a savior, but unfortunately, Wang Jung did not represent the Milky Way Alliance. However, classmate Wang had a strong point, and that was, he never undervalued himself. The Milky Way Alliance had their own style, and he had his own characteristics, being a cat's paw and winning from chaos. Following the lead of Piglet, the two came to a cheap-looking pub. Perhaps this type of place would be safer now, at least it matched with their dirty clothes. Grandpa Mobo had already arrived. It would be easy for an old man to look like he was in dire straits with just a little makeup. However, the old man's eyes were very bright. When he saw Wang Zheng, he stared at Wang Zheng with his eyes bright and sized him up for a while. Our family, I will leave the young master in your care. Mr. Wang, after this crisis ends, the Julian family will definitely thank you generously. Piglet did not agree. Grandpa Mobo, it's not like this. Big brother, he is very powerful. He can help us. There was a loving expression on Mobo's face. Obviously, the old man saw Piglet as his own grandson. At this age, the only reason why one would not relax could only be family. Otherwise, there was no need for Mobo to stubbornly carry this burden on his shoulders. Young master, let me handle the small matters. Mr. Wang, I think you probably understand the current situation. You won't be able to help. I just hope that you can take care of the young master during this time. Wang Zheng smiled, and just looked at Mobo silently. The old man was obviously also a person with power and influence. He could not handle such a look. Mr. Wang, what do you mean by this? Mr. Mobo, how long do you think the Julian family can last? The Julian family is one of the three great chief figures of Maklu. It is deeply rooted, and even if it is the Bill family, don't think. Wang Zheng waved his hand. Mr. Mobo, please don't talk big anymore. The direct line of the Julian family is almost all dead. Your only foreign aid is the Milky Way Alliance. But now, the Milky Way Alliance is refraining from attacking for fear of harming innocents. When Wang Zheng said this, it was obvious that he had his considerations. Even a novice like him was being used. This meant that they were not playing cards according to common sense. He could only say that the situation was even worse than expected. Mobo's gaze became very sharp as he stared at Wang Zheng. Young man, don't be boastful. You may have a few tricks, but you need to know that an Earth rank warrior is not undefeatable. Besides, the Earth rank also looks at experience and real battle ability. There's a ranking as well. We, everyone at the Julian family, are grateful for your help in caring for Piglet, but for the other matters, it's better for you to stay out. Wang Zheng smiled and was unmoved. The more Mobo insisted, the more it spoke about the terrible state of the Julian family. Under normal circumstances, with the help of an Earth rank expert, he would definitely be very happy. Suddenly, he felt some respect for this old man. After all, only people who spoke more than just words of praise were good people. The other party most likely did not want him involved in this problem. Old man, I know what you are planning. You are thinking that if the Julian family is done for, you want me to take Piglet away from here, am I right? Piglet saw that Wang Zheng was not angry and instead suddenly said that. His facial expression also suddenly changed. Grandpa, is big brother Wang Zheng right? I'm not leaving, I want revenge. Mobo paused and took a deep breath. Young master, the situation now is indeed dangerous. I have some chance of victory. But not much. This young brother is honest, reliable. If something happens to me, then leave with him. Such a young Earth rank expert is rare. He can protect you. Grandpa. Piglet's eyes turned red again. Actually, the people closest to him in the whole Julian family were not his parents. In such a big family, everyone was busy fighting for power, and there was no family relationship to talk about. Only Grandpa Mobo truly cared about him. Don't worry, I will send you guys out even with my last breath, Mobo said. At this age, he had already seen it all. Their family had yet to lose all control of the spaceport, and he had already prepared the spaceship. Wang Zheng was not very clear on the real state of Maklu, including the current situation. It would only make him look like a fool if he made big promises. But when he did things, he never gave up until all efforts were exhausted. Since he was here, it was not his style to retreat. Mr. Mobo, please take a look. Do I have to remove this thing on my wrist before I can go back? Wang Zheng stretched out his arm. That bracelet was especially piercing to the eye. Why would you have that thing? Mobo frowned. This made things difficult. He thought that Wang Zheng did not have that. But thinking again, if he did not have that, he would not even be able to enter. Don't you need to tell me first? What threat does this pose? Is there a bomb inside or something? Wang Zheng asked. Looking at the old man's expression, this thing might really be something difficult to handle. This limiting bracelet is one of our methods to rule Maklu. Even an Earth rank expert can only sigh. The beginner level limits ordinary people. There is very strong numbing agent inside that can instantly enter the nervous system and cause the whole body to be numb. The middle level bracelet has a bomb inside. If the slaves with more abilities tried to escape, they would explode. The effect is shocking. This also forces them to monitor each other. The high-level bracelets are specially designed for limiting powerful people. Once activated, it can limit ability X. This is prepared for special individuals. Mobo was referring to those wealthy people seeking refuge here. They naturally brought their bodyguards, and some had shocking abilities. This type could only use the third kind of bracelet, which would not cause fatal injuries but also did not allow ability X users to destroy the balance here. At the same time, it targeted the Milky Way Alliance's special agents. Obviously, the results were very good. Many special agents were beaten to death by street gangsters as a result because they could not use their ability X. Mine is. Yours is the first type. Mobo sighed. To him, it was worse than the third. Wang Zheng was stunned. He was thinking from an entirely different perspective. The third seemed to be the safest but was the most difficult to remove. His should be easier. Professor Zhang Feng had really thought of everything. Quote, Mr. Mobo, I would like to know two things. The first is, who can open this bracelet? Wang Zheng asked. The Bill family can. Now the people from Hong Larong also can do so. Only the management level have the keys. Wang Zheng nodded. The second is, what is the reason for the Bill family not destroying you guys entirely? Now that the overall situation was set, the other side had no reason not to push to the end, unless Mobo had something. Mobo kept quiet. Piglet, on the other hand, tugged Mobo's hand. Grandpa, I trust Wang Zheng, he's a hero, he can definitely help us. Mobo laughed. Heroes, what heroes did this world have? This young chap might be good, but this was not as easy as fighting in a competition. Reality was always depressing. We do have something, but it's just that. You two better leave this place. Come back after the situation stabilizes. As for this bracelet, as long as you leave this place, the Milky Way Alliance can definitely open it. Mobo said. At most, they had to do a complex surgery and it could be removed. Wang Zheng, on the other hand, was considering another matter. It was definitely not feasible to approach the Bill family first. Now the important point was the Hong Larong family. That also meant that the Hong Larong family had already formed an alliance with the Bill family. But if he were part of the Hong Larong family, would he easily trust the people from Bill family? Perhaps they had some agreement between themselves, but that was not undefeatable. Mr. Mobo, I think you definitely have kept contact with the Hong Larong family. Can you introduce someone from their management to me? For this matter, you only need to be responsible for the introductions. You just tell them that I have big business plans to discuss with them. Wang Zheng laughed. Big business. Mobo was stunned. He shook his head. I can introduce you, but it'll be useless. They will not believe you at all, and once you show your face, it'll not be easy to leave anymore. Wang Zheng smiled confidently. I'm not sure if Mr. Mobo has heard of Titatitan Star. Titatitan. Of course I've heard of it. That's a famous planet. Talking about it, we are in the same situation. Both of us just want to seek recognition and independence. It's just that they have succeeded and we have failed. Mobo was a little depressed. Obviously, the Julian family wanted to seek a similar effect, but they fell towards darkness in their fight. It was complicated to cooperate with the Milky Way Alliance. Wang Zheng, of course, knew that too. That was practically even darker than the underworld. Then that's great. I'm the ambassador of Titatitan Star. Titatitan Star wants to form an alliance with Maklu. We plan to form a rare energy mine association. No matter what Hong Larong and the others are planning, people will always want to survive. They definitely will not want to burn all bridges with the Milky Way Alliance. And this moment, I think they need this opportunity. Wang Jung smiled. With that explanation, Mobo understood. Even if the Bill family and Hong Larong family totally annihilated the Julian family and ruled Maklu, what would happen after that? Would the Milky Way Alliance simply ignore all that? That was obviously impossible. The Milky Way Alliance would definitely mobilize their troops because the Milky Way Alliance was also worried about the chain reactions in the other areas. As for the degree of the fights, that would be a gamble later. But if they formed an alliance with Tita Star, then this would become another matter. From an international image perspective, Maklu would become like Tita Star, a resisting planet that withstood bullying. What do you have as proof? Mobo said seriously. Wang Jung smiled. Mr. Mobo, give me a Skylink and the matter will be resolved, then we can discuss what to do next. The method to restart the business after the matter was most likely something the Bill family and the Hong Larong family were more concerned about, especially the Hong Larong family. They were redividing the powers and not seeking death, it was for benefits. If Tita Star threw in an olive branch now and made use of the current international situation, it would definitely make the Milky Way Alliance refrain from attacking for fear of harming innocents. If it was not handled well, it would become an invasion, and even Ryan would not dare to act rashly. Such conditions were enough to impress the Hong Larong family. Getting a Skylink was very easy. Wang Jung contacted Mu Sen. Mu Sen was more efficient. He sent a document directly to Wang Jung and granted him the identity of ambassador. The signature signed by the governor was real, so it would be convincing enough. Mobo was also stunned. Was this the way to conduct diplomacy? Mu Sen was definitely real. The question was, why was Tita Star like Wang Jung's backyard? How could anyone treat an international problem like this? If he was not aware of Wang Jung's identity, he would really think that this was a scam. But now, the trend of things had changed a bit. Of course, Mobo thought that the Milky Way Alliance might be using their powers here, but he did not care about the actual situation. His concern was in saving the Julian family. The Hong Larong family is a female-dominated family. The family head of this generation's Hong Larong is quite mysterious. A few years ago, Hong Larong also went through a big change. This generation's family head came out of nowhere and took over Hong Larong, Mobo said. That is, after the new family head took over, Hong Larong and the Bill family started to become close. Wang Jung asked. Yes. If it was the older generation, they would never have broken the balance. Although the three families competed with each other, they had always maintained a certain degree. The current situation met the bottom line of the Milky Way Alliance's tolerance. As long as we can maintain the balance, we can still develop very peacefully. However, since the new Hong Larong family head took over, the direction has changed a bit, so it will be very dangerous for you to go and negotiate. Mobo said. Wang Jung thought for a moment. If he wanted to achieve something, some things must be sacrificed. Even if he did not want to go now, he had to go. It seemed that the problem still lay with the Hong Larong family. Brother Wang Jung, I will accompany you. I want to see what the source of this calamity looks like. Piglet said. Young master, you better not go. I will go with Mr. Wang, Mobo said with fondness. If Piglet went to Hong Larong, then it would really be walking right into the trap. Mr. Mobo, Piglet, neither of you have to go. Just make the contact and I can go alone, Wang Jung said. If there are more people, the other party will be more suspicious. The Julian family has 1/3 of the key to managing the eternal energy source of the entire city. The other side launched a sudden attack, but they didn't find the key. That's why they had no choice but to stop. At this time, Mobo finally told Wang Jung the crucial point of matter. Wang Jung nodded. He must really meet the Hong Larong family head in order to know how this matter would develop. At this moment, Mobo's Skylink rang. It seems like there's no choice but to go now. The Hong Larong family has invited us both. Then let's go. I heard that Hong Larong is a woman as beautiful as a goddess. Wang Jung smiled. I will not go as far as to describe her as beautiful like a goddess, but she is definitely a source of calamity, Mobo said lightly. The place where Hong Larong agreed to meet with them was the Galaxy Paradise Club that was under the control of Hong Larong. It was known as one of the Milky Way Alliance's best high-end clubs. Other than people from Fallen Paradise, it also attracted many rich people from other planets. If Fallen Paradise wanted to develop, they, of course, could not rely on internal forces. They still had to attract resources from the outside world. The recent situation of Maklu had already affected businesses. Wang Zheng looked at the glorious Galaxy Paradise Club. He just wanted to say that there was no extravagant, only more extravagant. They were really doing their best. As the planet still had slavery, many taboos could be broken here, and many people from other planets could enjoy the fun from ancient times while not losing a sense of modernity. However, Wang Zheng was a little familiar with the layout inside. It was rumored that this was the style that the new family had liked. Wang Zheng's intuition had always been very accurate. The closer he was, the more he felt that something was wrong. Mobo, on the other hand, was very indifferent. He had already arranged everything for the follow-up. He was not the important point, but if he died, he still wanted to have arranged for a backup plan. But since the other party wanted the key, as long as he still had the key, he should be safe. The Hong Larong family was the crucial point in this negotiation. If it was really like what Wang Zheng said, they could win over the Hong Larong family, then there might be a chance for things to become better. But the problem was that this was a case of desperate measures in desperate times because the bargaining chips they had in their hands were not enough to reverse the situation. At most, they would live. In fact, Mobo's idea was to let the young master leave Maklu alive and find a safe place to continue his life, and in the future, even though their wealth would eventually run out, to be able to live happily was the most important thing. The problem now was whether or not the Bill family and the Hong Larong family would give them the chance to live. The experts they hired were certainly trying to crack the secret of the key. Although it had the strongest code, they had 2 keys. It would not be impossible to crack. Time might have become something that everyone was vying for. Wang Zheng arrived at a luxurious hall. The golden pillars looked extraordinarily grand. A large dragon sculpture twisted around the pillar at the top, like a transparent jade. The eyes were huge rubies, and there were 8 such pillars. Is this real? Wang Zheng laughed. Mobo also did not know whether to cry or laugh. This Wang Zheng was really calm. He really thought that he was here for a tour. It's all real. These 8 pillars are made of pure gold. The dragon sculpture is also made from Earth's jade. It is very rare and worth a lot of money. The ruby was bought from an auction. Among the 3 families, Hong Larong is actually the wealthiest. Their network is also the biggest, Mobo said. Because of the services provided by Hong Larong, it was easy for them to reach the forces of both the underworld and the legitimate world naturally and conveniently. In addition, it was always more convenient for women in the world to do business than men. Mr. Mobo, you really overpraise us. This little thing is just purely my personal hobby. A very soothing voice sounded softly. It was filled with laziness, but it made people feel like they were caressed by the fresh spring wind. Even at Mobo's age, there would be some effect. Hong Larong, let's not beat around the bush. This is the master from the Titatitan star. You have verified his identity. He came here to talk about the cooperation between our 2 planets, Mobo said. A chuckle came from behind the curtain. Old man, so old yet still so impatient. All we have is time. It is always a pleasure to greet a friend from afar. Isn't it, Wang Zheng? The curtain pulled open, and a sexy woman walked out. She was dressed in a red cheongsam. A golden silk flying dragon was embroidered on it, making it look extraordinarily demonic. As she walked, she showed off her slender legs hidden behind her dress, and there was an indescribable seductive feeling in this environment. There were 2 chains in her hands. The so-called pets were 2 nearly naked men, who followed her like dogs. Wang Zheng was stunned for a while and looked carefully at this woman. From the other party's words, apparently she knew him. From the tone, he obviously knew her too, but how could he know anyone from Maklu? Why, we haven't seen each other for a few years, and you have forgotten me. There was a weird mockery and delight, even some killing intent, in this woman's smile. Wang Zheng really did not have any impression. The woman in front of him was very mature and elegant, but she was emitting a seductive aura from her bones. Only the expression and tone at that moment reminded Wang Zheng of a person. You are, Yu Jing. Wang Zheng was also stunned. This was too outrageous. Didn't you transfer to a school in the European region? Why did you come here? Wang Zheng was a little surprised. They had some grudges from that year, but he thought he had not done anything to her at the time. Yu Jing actually came to Maklu and became the family head of Hong Larong. This change was a bit large. A trace of anger flashed past Yu Jing's face. Everything that she had, the source of her tragedy, but what she had experienced in the past few years allowed her to control her emotions very well now. There was a faint smile on her face. Mobo was also stunned. You are classmates? Wang Zheng smiled. Yes, we're classmates, but... Wang Zheng did not finish his sentence, but obviously it was not a situation where a person would be touched to see a friend from the same hometown. The other party might have encountered unimaginable things in the past few years. A change like heaven and earth turning upside down would not be an overstatement. Since you are an old acquaintance, let's sit down. Yu Jing walked over, and the two dogs behind her also clambered down obediently. Both of them sized each other up. Clearly, it was a bit unbelievable to meet here. What happened in the past seemed unworthy of mention, but Wang Zheng was also not sure what the other party was thinking now. It was also because she had taken the initiative to mess things up. However, standing in the perspective of Yu Jing, she might not think so. A young, rich lady felt to the point that she had to enter this kind of industry. Although she was standing at the top, you could tell that it was probably not a good thing by looking at her pets, and seeing how her character had changed drastically. Wang Zheng still stayed on guard in his heart. Old classmate, long time no see. We are really fated. How is that fat guy Yan Xiaozu now? Yu Jing laughed and clapped her hands. Immediately, a messenger came in and offered hot tea. Try it, our authentic Longjing from Earth. It is very rare. Wang Zheng smiled. He really did not dare to drink this tea. Just casually mixing around. Yan Xiaozu's character is like that, but you really shocked me. You flatter me. Compared to you guys, I still lack a bit. Yu Jing laughed. At this moment, Yu Jing became very dignified and elegant. People who were unaware would definitely think that she came from a distinguished family. Of course, it would be more believable if the two pets could step back for a while. Tita Star's ambassador, looks like you guys have really been thriving quite well in the past few years. Classmate Wang Zheng, we are already so familiar with each other. Just speak freely, Yu Jing said laughingly. Wang Zheng smiled. The Yu Jing now had really changed too much. Wang Zheng did not dare to belittle her. This woman emitted a very stable aura, and she could make any changes as she wished. I will make a deal. Tita Star will form an alliance with Maklu, economically and politically. Wang Zheng expressed half of his thoughts, watching Yu Jing's reaction. Yu Jing also looked at Wang Zheng and Mobo with a smile. This is, of course, a good thing. You will definitely not lose out if you cooperate with Maklu. Yu Jing smiled. But, old classmate, you should not meddle in other things. Wang Zheng smiled. This is the world of the Milky Way Alliance. I hope that the balance will remain. Otherwise, the Milky Way Alliance will not ignore the current situation. Once. Yu Jing smiled and waved her hand. Old classmate, this is not the world of the Milky Way Alliance. It is nothing but a puppet. This is the world of experts. What you worry about is not an issue at all. Shouldn't you have grown up after what you experienced on Tita Star? In this world, relying on others will never be better than relying on yourself. We form alliances, and both sides will gain benefits. The Milky Way Alliance is more cowardly than you think. Right, Mr. Mobo. Mobo face darkened. Hong Larong, you really want to force this into a desperate situation. Yu Jing laughed. Old man, don't be anxious. We have a tradition on Earth. That is to respect the elderly. Give me the key, and you can leave with some of your properties and enjoy the rest of your life. As for the rest, don't worry about it. A person's lifetime is not that much. I have a request, Mobo said. Oh, please state your request. Yu Jing was still so calm. I can give you the thing, but I want little Julian to go with me. If we leave, we won't come back again. Mobo said seriously. In fact, this was the real purpose of him coming here. He did not think that Wang Zheng could do anything. If he continued to delay, they would just die, so he should just lay his cards down. At least with Wang Zheng around, it might lead to a better discussion. In fact, the only important thing in Mobo's heart was little Julian. Yu Jing smiled. It seems like you have really set your heart on the little brat. Fine. Give me the things, and you two can leave. Mobo shook his head. Hong Larong, don't make empty promises. You have to let us go first, then I will arrange for someone to give you the key. Yu Jing's expression suddenly froze. Mr. Mobo, are you so old that you became dumb? We can kill you all and slowly find the key. Also, the key is actually not necessary. Wang Zheng knocked on the table and broke the deadlock. Ahem, I said you two, don't be anxious. Yu Jing, do you really think that the Milky Way Alliance will not care about what happens here? Yu Jing glanced at Wang Zheng. No one had called her this name for many years, but now everything was awakened. That year, there was only one dead end in front of her, and it was an unimaginable, unbelievable dead end. She never dreamed that there was such a large organization with so much power in the human world, and she, the daughter of a former politician, was disposed of just like that. But in the face of death, Yu Jing made another choice. Only experts could survive in this world. Even if it was a strong organization, it still needed people and talents. She was a talent, because she would do anything just to live. As it turned out, she was right. Although she had sacrificed everything in the process, she had survived. Yu Jing glanced faintly at Wang Zheng. Even if the Milky Way Alliance comes, what can they do? Do you really think that this world belongs to the Milky Way Alliance? Of course, Yu Jing. Please stop now. I am now a member of the Milky Way Alliance's Elite Academy X. I can speak to the higher-ups. If you are willing to work for the Milky Way Alliance, you will definitely gain both fame and fortune. Also, who in this world can go against the Milky Way Alliance? Even Aslan and Arbiter wouldn't dare to do that, Wang Zheng said righteously. Yu Jing stared blankly at Wang Zheng and burst out into laughter. Wang Zheng had really studied till he became stupid. He had even revealed his own origins. As expected, he was someone from the academy. He thought that the Milky Way Alliance would uphold justice and righteousness. In this world, there was no righteousness, only power. She was not as strong as Yi Zissou, not as strong as the Chronos family, so she had reached her current position step by step. Who would uphold justice for her? Wang Zheng, don't be childish. The Milky Way Alliance is just a good-looking puppet. Aslan, Arbiter, they are all frogs at the bottom of the well. The real power in this world is, Yu Jing said proudly. Her eyes were filled with condescending mercy. But when it was the crucial point, she suddenly stopped talking. Looking at Wang Zheng, for so many years, you are still so sly. We are old friends, and you still use this act of looking silly to provoke me. Wang Zheng's heart sank. The nature of man was hard to change. This was Yu Jing's weakness. She was easy to provoke. Others might not, but a few special people could do it. Although it was only a little bit, it was already enough. Mobo had made a mistake. Unlike the Julian family, Hong Larong and the Bill family had been controlled by an organization. So much so that Hong Larong was actually the leader. The Bill family was probably just a weapon on the surface. If this organization was the mastermind, they would make use of the Bill family's weapon to kill the Julian family, and then use Hong Larong to kill the Bill family. After that, they would negotiate with the Milky Way Alliance. Under certain circumstances, the Milky Way Alliance might really silently approve Maklu's current situation. But Maklu would then totally be in the hands of this secret organization. Yu Jing was right about this. He absolutely believed that the Milky Way Alliance would do it. The Milky Way Alliance only requested for Maklu to fall under their jurisdiction and to maintain the current situation. This was something that the Bill family could not do, but based on the Hong Larong family's situation, they definitely could do it. Besides, they definitely had their own people in the Milky Way Alliance. This was too scary. Just for a moment, Wang Zheng cleared up his thoughts. The Milky Way Alliance probably did not expect this either. From the beginning, this mastermind organization's plan was not to turn it immediately into a desperate situation, but to do it step by step. This was a well-thought and long-term layout. The trend of things was a little beyond his imagination. Yu Jing's Skylink rang, and she saw a piece of information about Yan Xiaozu, Yi Zisu, and Wang Zhang. During these years, she could not pay too much attention to these people, including Lear. This was a rule set by the organization. She did not belong to herself anymore. From her body to spirit, she belonged to the organization. She had to do everything the organization asked her to do. She must not do things that the organization disallowed her to do, including revenge. Yu Jing was absolutely afraid to defy the organization, because she knew the power of this organization very clearly. It could turn ordinary people into superhumans and grant them power. Similarly, they could use countless methods to make their traitors wish that they were dead instead of alive. But when Wang Zheng came to her himself, she had the right to find out. Obviously, based on the information she got, these three people had been living two good lives, all of which stemmed from her misery. Yu Jing looked and looked at it, smiling very brightly. Wang Zheng could clearly feel the killing intent behind Yu Jing's smile. Based on the current situation, Wang Zheng knew very well that he could not have a falling out with her now. Yu Jing's peripheral vision had already swept across his wrist. At the moment, Yu Jing had already seized the initiative. However, the Yu Jing now was not the Yu Jing in the past, and she was actually very good at enduring. Wang Zheng, you know Lear, right? Wang Zheng was momentarily stunned. Lear, of course I know him, we are from the same school. Hee, tell me more about him. I'm very interested in him. If you can satisfy my curiosity, perhaps we can have further discussions, Yu Jing said. Yan Xiaozu, Yi Zisu, Wang Zheng, were these three the people she hated most? Actually, they were not. To Yu Jing, she indeed disliked these three persons and wanted to exact revenge on them. However, that was not the key. The reason she had pushed her hatred onto these three was because they were weak. The one she hated the most was Lear. The A*hole who got rid of her like she was a piece of garbage. In the past, the Kronos family was like a giant to her, but that was no longer the case. Wang Zheng smiled and told her about Lear's current situation. Every time he talked about Lear's glorious moments, Yu Jing could not resist frowning. Wang Zheng roughly understood what was happening. God is really unfair, Wang Zheng. You guys most likely do not know that from the start, it was all Lear's plan to send me over to seduce Yan Xiaoshu. He is the true mastermind, Yu Jing said, smiling. Wang Zheng did not have much of an expression. After all, he and Lear not getting along well was not something new, but in his heart, he was still a little surprised. Why, aren't you surprised? Lear is such a person, despicable and shrewd, and he never makes the move himself. There is totally no reason for hatred, Yu Jing said laughingly, but there was indescribable hatred between her eyes. You want me to help you handle Lear? Wang Zheng asked. Yu Jing laughed. She thought that she had lost her cool a little. These were all things of the past, though it raised her thoughts. If one day Lear fell into her hands, she would definitely let him understand how living was worse than dying. Yu Jing shook her head gently. Whether or not you want to handle him is your own business. I can tell that your future is very bright too. We're all old friends, and I will not make things difficult for you. You bring that kid here and I'll help you undo that bracelet and send you away. As for whether Tita Star is really willing to cooperate with us, that depends on your sincerity. We, of course, will welcome you. But even if we are to cooperate, that will have to wait until the situation has stabilized. You don't have to worry about such a minor thing. Mobo was angered. Wang Zheng, you cannot make a promise with her. People from the Hong Larong are not dependable. Only Wang Zheng knew Piglet's current hiding place. He, never even in his dreams, thought that an old classmate would appear here. Mobo even felt that this was a trap. Yu Jing loosened the chains in her hand. The man lying on the ground immediately pounced towards them like a cougar and directly lifted Mobo up. His eyes exploded with cold light and Mobo fainted. Ability X user, and most likely at least a C-rank ability. This man's spiritual energy covered Mobo. If Wang Zheng did not guess wrongly, the other party should be using a spiritual search ability. How is it? How is it? The half-naked man arched his body. Master, there is nothing on the location of the thing in his memory. It should be on little Julian. Yu Jing waved her hand. I guessed it. This old man is also fiercely loyal. Put him down, he still has some use. Yu Jing waved her hands, and the other half-naked man also retreated quietly. Yu Jing walked step by step until she stood in front of Wang Zheng. After all these years, Yu Jing did not know what people lived for, because she felt that she could not be counted as a person anymore. However, when she looked at Wang Zheng, she felt that she was Yu Jing again. The girl in the past did not die, she was just very deeply buried. She knew that this was just a temporary revival, but she really wanted to catch hold of this feeling. Wang Zheng was also looking at Yu Jing. This woman's change was too big. Not only that, he could feel the waves of a cultivation technique coming from Yu Jing. What type of organization could change a person to this extent and cause such a big problem? This was most likely what the Milky Way Alliance was paying attention to, including the fact that Yu Jing and the Bill family were only puppets. The situation was worse than he imagined. Wang Zheng, what do you think of our exchange? Yu Jing said. Now the situation had totally changed. The things that Wang Zheng had planned originally were of absolutely no value to the other party. It also meant he had no more bargaining chips. Actually, even if you don't tell us, we also have a way to find that little guy. Why do this? When this thing is done, we will have a basis for cooperation. All along, it has been the strong eating the weak in this world. It's either be the knife or the meat on the board. We need to be stronger. Yu Jing smiled. She had seen another possibility on Wang Zheng. While not definitely reliable, it was worth trying. She went nearer and nearer to Wang Zheng as she spoke. Yu Jing was very jealous of the type of aura coming from Wang Zheng. It was a type of balance that was filled with life. There was no desire for destruction, and this attracted her greatly. Wang Zheng also felt pressured and frowned slightly. This type of seductive power was obviously very abnormal. The other party's cultivation technique or ability X was perhaps the seductive type. But after circulating the primordial regression technique through his body very quickly, he regained a clear mind. Wang Zheng had seen beauties before. The important thing was that what attracted Wang Zheng was not this type of lust but a clear spirit. Yu Jing, I can bring Piglet here, but that kid and I have some fate. You can have the key, but I'll have the person, Wang Zheng said. Yu Jing was slightly stunned, and a sexy smile spread on her face. Hee, we're all old friends, so I can grant this little request. That's a promise. Wang Zheng left and Yu Jing indeed did not stop him. In this kind of situation, he could not save Mobo at all. The situation was worse than he had imagined. However, he was not without rewards. Today, he had gathered a lot of intelligence. Compared to the situation in Maklu, the matter with the underworld organization was much more serious. This was the message he had to pass on. After Wang Zheng left, Yu Jing clapped her hands and a man in black immediately appeared. Follow him, find the kid, get the key, and kill both of them. That Wang Zheng has some moves, so just activate the bracelet. Do not cause any extra trouble, Yu Jing said. Yes, master. The man in black disappeared into the darkness. Yu Jing's lips curled into a cold smile. If Wang Zheng was willing to submit just now, then there was a possibility of cooperation. But that man had actually withstood the seduction. This was stubbornness. Since Wang Zheng had chosen the route of death, then she had nothing to be polite about. Today, she had said too much. After calming down, she also felt that she could not allow Wang Zheng to leave alive. Lear, this was a name that until now would cause Yu Jing to grit her teeth in anger. Damn it, even her cultivation technique could not let her regain calmness. Those suppressed memories that she had almost forgotten crashed all at once like a huge wave. Throughout these years, she was bedded by countless men. She climbed up step by step from the bottom. She stepped on countless bodies. From being disgusted, to feeling numbness, until finally she became a live puppet. Yu Jing had only hatred left. It was the instant she saw Wang Zheng that she finally knew the meaning of her life. That was to take revenge. This type of desire for revenge, once raised, could not be suppressed anymore. At this moment, Yu Jing's skylink rang. Her underling had sent her new intelligence. Perhaps the matter with Wang Zheng had been resolved already. Opening her Skylink, a face that Yu Jing would never forget surfaced. Instantly, Yu Jing's hands started to tremble uncontrollably. To get results effortlessly after having exhausted all efforts.